A bombshell just dropped into Sean Diddy Combs' trial. One of the key witnesses, known only as Victim 3, has vanished without a trace. Prosecutors are scrambling, the judge is on edge, and the entire case could be derailed. Is this a coincidence, or is something sinister at play? The hip-hop mogul's fate hangs in the balance as the courtroom chaos unfolds. Stick with me as we unravel the shocking twists, the explosive allegations, and what this could mean for Diddy's future. The trial of Sean Diddy Combs, one of the most high-profile cases in recent memory, kicked off in Manhattan's federal court on May 12, 2025. Combs, the music icon behind Bad Boy Entertainment, faces 5 federal charges: racketeering conspiracy, sex trafficking by force, and transportation to engage in prostitution. If convicted, he could spend the rest of his life behind bars. The prosecution paints him as the mastermind of a decades-long criminal enterprise, accusing him of coercing women into drug-fueled sex parties called freak-offs, using intimidation, violence, and blackmail to keep them compliant. The defense, led by attorneys like Mark Garagos, argues these were consensual relationships with adult women who benefited from Diddy's wealth and fame. The stakes are sky-high, and the world is watching. But just as the trial was gaining momentum, a wrench was thrown into the works. Victim 3, a woman central to the prosecution's racketeering case, is missing. Lead prosecutor Maureen Comey, daughter of former FBI Director James Comey, told U.S. District Judge Arun Subramanian that they can't locate her or her attorney. This isn't just a minor hiccup, it's a potential case killer. Victim 3 was expected to testify about alleged coercion into sexual acts by Combs, testimony that could have bolstered the racketeering charge. Her absence has sent shockwaves through the courtroom, with social media buzzing about everything from witness tampering to foul play. Let's break it down step by step, starting with who Victim 3 is and why she matters. The prosecution's case hinges on 4 alleged victims, labeled Victim 1 through Victim 4 in the indictment. Victim 1 is Cassandra Cassie Ventura, Diddy's former girlfriend, whose explosive testimony on May 13, 2025, has already made headlines. Cassie, now 8 months pregnant, described years of physical and sexual abuse, including being forced into freak-offs that left her humiliated and traumatized. Her 2016 hotel hallway assault video, where Combs is seen beating her, is a cornerstone of the prosecution's evidence. Victims 2 and 4 are expected to testify under pseudonyms, their identities shielded from the public. But Victim 3? She's a mystery. Unlike Cassie, her real name hasn't been disclosed, and she was set to testify openly, not under a pseudonym. That makes her disappearance even more alarming. Prosecutors first flagged the issue during jury selection on May 9, 2025. They told Judge Subramanian they were struggling to contact Victim 3, despite earlier assurances she'd testify. By May 13th, the situation hadn't improved. Posts on X exploded with speculation, with users like Akalimo Barbie calling her claims very personal and explosive and hinting at a cover-up. Others, like at Abby Page Kate, drew parallels to the Jeffrey Epstein case, suggesting a hit list of witnesses being silenced. These posts reflect public sentiment but aren't hard evidence. Still, the timing raises eyebrows. Why would a key witness, ready to face Diddy in court, suddenly go off the grid? To understand the gravity, let's look at the charges. The racketeering count alleges Combs ran a criminal enterprise from 2004 to 2024, using his inner circle to facilitate sex trafficking and other crimes. Victim 3's testimony was meant to show a pattern of coercion, tying her experience to the broader conspiracy. Without her, the prosecution's narrative weakens. The sex trafficking charges, which include Victims 2 and 4, rely on proving force or fraud, not just consensual acts. If Victim 3's story involves similar coercion, her absence could make it harder to convince the jury of a systemic pattern. The transportation charge, tied to moving victims across state lines for prostitution, also needs strong witness testimony to stick. Losing Victim 3 is like pulling a leg off a table. The whole case could wobble. Now, let's talk about the trial itself. Day 1, May 12th, was all about opening statements and early witnesses. Prosecutors laid out their case, focusing on Diddy's alleged brutality toward Cassie and another unnamed ex-girlfriend. They promised video evidence of freak-offs, though these clips are sealed from the public. The defense countered that the women were in voluntary relationships, free to leave at any time. They even suggested Cassie was jealous of Diddy's late ex, Kim Porter, implying personal motives behind her accusations. Two witnesses, Daniel Phillip and Israel Flores, took the stand, testifying about Combs' violent altercations with Cassie. Phillip, a sex worker, described being directed by Diddy to apply baby oil during encounters with Cassie, painting a grim picture of control. Day 2 was Cassie's moment. She took the stand on May 13th, delivering gut-wrenching testimony. She cried as she recounted how Combs controlled her career, wardrobe, and life, starting when she was just 22. She described freak-offs as degrading, drug-fueled ordeals orchestrated by Diddy, sometimes spanning days. A security guard testified that after one assault, Combs paid him off and said 3 chilling words, though those words haven't been revealed publicly. The defense tried to poke holes, asking Phillip if Cassie seemed intoxicated or unwilling during their encounters. He said no, giving the defense a small win. But Cassie's emotional delivery left a mark, and the jury, 12 New Yorkers ranging from massage therapists to an investment analyst, seemed riveted. Back to victim 3. Her disappearance isn't the only curveball. Diddy's team requested a delay in jury selection, arguing some jurors might get cold feet over the weekend. The judge granted it, pushing the start to May 12th. This move, combined with victim 3's absence, has fueled speculation of defense tactics to stall or disrupt. Combs' lawyers also scored a pretrial win when prosecutors dropped certain evidence tied to victim 3, citing its irrelevance to the charges. Could her vanishing be connected to that ruling? Or is she hiding out of fear? The prosecution's struggle to reach her lawyer suggests she may have cut contact intentionally, but we don't know why. The courtroom drama is unfolding in the same Manhattan federal court where Ghislaine Maxwell was convicted in 2021 for her role in Jeffrey Epstein's crimes. That case looms large, with prosecutor Maureen Comey, who worked on Maxwell's trial, leading the charge against Diddy. The Epstein parallels aren't lost on observers. Powerful figures, allegations of sexual exploitation, and now a missing witness. Ex-posts like at Jack Saroba's cry to dig deeper reflect a public hungry for answers. But unlike Epstein, who died before his trial, Combs is in the hot seat, pleading not guilty and actively engaging with jurors. He's been described as upbeat, smiling at potential jurors despite the grim charges. Let's zoom out to the bigger picture. This trial isn't just about Diddy. It's a cultural moment. Combs was a titan of hip-hop, shaping the 1990s and 2000s with hits like I'll Be Missing You and building an empire through Bad Boy Records. His fall from grace began with Cassie's 2023 civil lawsuit, accusing him of years of abuse. Though settled quickly, it opened the floodgates. Dozens of other lawsuits followed, with men and women alleging sexual violence. Federal prosecutors built their case on these claims, arresting Combs in September 2024. Superseding indictments in January and April 2025 added new victims and charges, tightening the noose. The freak-off allegations are central. Prosecutors say these were meticulously planned events, with Combs' staff arranging drugs, sex workers, and venues. Victims were allegedly given controlled substances, sometimes unknowingly, to keep them compliant. The defense argues these were consensual parties, not crimes, and points out that no victim went to police at the time, only to civil lawyers later seeking payouts. This framing sets up a battle of credibility. Are the accusers victims of a predator or opportunists chasing money? The jury, a diverse mix of ages and professions, will decide. Victim 3's absence complicates this. If she doesn't testify, the prosecution may lean harder on Cassie and the pseudonymous victims. But Cassie's testimony, while powerful, covers only her experience. Victims 2 and 4, testifying as Jane, and another alias face the challenge of anonymity, which could make their stories less relatable to jurors. The prosecution has other tools, videos, text messages, and witnesses like the security guard, but a missing key player hurts. And if victim 3 resurfaces later, her credibility could be questioned. Why did she vanish? Was she pressured, scared, or something else? Social media is a wildfire of theories. Ex-users like at AskYourMama1 are screaming. Victim number 3 is still nowhere to be found. Others, like at Bolix, note waning public interest in the case, overshadowed by the drama of victim 3's disappearance. Some posts suggest Diddy's influence or wealth could be behind it, echoing fears of witness tampering raised by Judge Andrew Carter before he recused himself. But these are just rumors. The facts are, prosecutors can't find her, the judge knows, and the trial is moving forward. For now, what about Diddy himself? He's been detained in Brooklyn since his arrest, denied bail over concerns of obstruction and witness tampering. In court, he's ditched jail attire for his own clothes, a small win to maintain his image. His family, including 3 daughters, attended opening statements but left during graphic testimony. His defense team, including new lawyer Xavier Donaldson, is aggressive, challenging evidence and portraying Combs as a target of overzealous prosecutors. They've even tried to bar Cassie's husband, Alex Fine, from the courtroom, hinting he could be a witness later. Every move is calculated. The trial is expected to last 8 weeks, wrapping around mid-July 2025. That's a long time for a case already teetering on chaos. If victim 3 stays missing, prosecutors may need to pivot, focusing on physical evidence like the hotel video or testimony from Diddy's alleged enablers, staff who arranged the freak-offs. But the defense will pounce on any gaps, arguing the case is built on shaky, uncorroborated claims. The jury's perception will be everything. Will they see Diddy as a monster or a man caught in a web of exaggerated accusations? Let's not ignore the cultural weight. This trial is a reckoning for an industry long criticized for shielding powerful men. Hip-hop, in particular, has faced scrutiny for its treatment of women, and Diddy's case is a flashpoint. Cassie's testimony, raw and unfiltered, resonates with many who followed the hashtag #MeToo movement. Yet the defense's narrative, that these women were willing participants, taps into skepticism about accusers in high-profile cases. The jury, with its mix of hip-hop fans and older professionals, reflects the divide in public opinion. Victim 3's disappearance adds fuel to the fire. Is she a victim silenced by fear or force? Or did she back out for other reasons? The prosecution's struggle to locate her suggests she was committed until recently. Otherwise, why prepare her for open testimony? The defense's earlier motion to exclude her evidence hints they knew her story could hurt. Now that she's gone, they might spin it as proof of a weak case. But the judge's reaction will matter. If Subramanian delays the trial to locate her, it could signal he sees her as critical. If he presses on, it's a sign the prosecution can still make their case. What's next? Court resumes Wednesday, May 14th, 2025, with Cassie's cross-examination. Prosecutors need her to hold up under pressure, as the defense will likely paint her as unreliable or vindictive. Meanwhile, the search for victim 3 continues. If she's found, her return could be a game-changer, or a liability, depending on why she vanished. The prosecution's 8-person team, 7 of them women, is under intense scrutiny to deliver. Maureen Comey's experience with Maxwell gives her an edge, but this case is messy, with a living defendant and a media circus outside. The media frenzy is another layer. Outlets like CNN, The New York Times, and People are churning out daily updates, while ex-posts amplify the drama. The public's fascination isn't just about Diddy. It's about power, fame, and accountability. Combs was once untouchable, hobnobbing with A-listers and shaping culture. Now, he's a defendant in a courtroom sketch, gray-haired and fighting for his freedom. The contrast is stark, and it's why this story grips us. Let's talk evidence. Beyond Cassie's video, prosecutors have texts, emails, and witness accounts tying Combs to the freak-offs. They've hinted at more videos, though sealed from public view. The defense will argue these show consensual acts, not crimes. Physical evidence, like drugs allegedly used to subdue victims, could be key, but lab results or chain of custody issues might complicate things. The prosecution's challenge is weaving it all into a coherent story of a criminal enterprise, not just isolated incidents. Victim 3's testimony was supposed to help tie those threads together. The defense isn't sitting idle. They've already challenged the prosecution's narrative, suggesting bias in how the case was built. Garagos, a seasoned lawyer, knows how to sway juries with doubt. By highlighting that victims sought civil settlements before criminal complaints, they're planting seeds that this is about money, not justice. Victim 3's absence plays right into their hands. They can argue the case is crumbling before it's fully built. What's the worst-case scenario for prosecutors? If Victim 3 doesn't show and other witnesses falter, the jury might acquit on the heavier charges like racketeering and sex trafficking. Combs could still face lesser penalties, but a full acquittal would be a blow to the U.S. Attorney's Office. For Diddy, even a partial win wouldn't erase the damage. His reputation is in tatters, and civil lawsuits will keep coming. For the victims, especially Cassie, the trial is a chance to reclaim their stories, but the process is grueling. Let's circle back to Victim 3. Her absence is the elephant in the room. Prosecutors said on May 9th they'd have an update by day's end, but 4 days later, nothing. The judge hasn't ruled on a delay, suggesting he's giving them time to find her. But time isn't infinite. The trial's momentum could stall if she's not located soon. And if she's found but refuses to testify, it's a whole new problem. Courts can't force witnesses to speak, especially if they fear retaliation. The public's reaction on X shows how this is resonating. Users like @Sabernal2345 linked to TMZ clips, calling it a trial twist. Others, like @Diligent Denizen, flagged Victim 3's absence as a red flag. These posts, while not evidence, capture the distrust swirling around the case. Some see Diddy as a scapegoat. Others believe he's guilty, but too powerful to fall. The truth lies in the evidence, and right now, that evidence is incomplete without Victim 3. What does this mean for the trial's future? If Victim 3 stays missing, the prosecution will double down on Cassie, Victims 2 and 4, and their trove of physical evidence. The defense will exploit every gap, from missing witnesses to inconsistencies in testimony. Judge Subramanian, known for his no-nonsense rulings, will keep things moving, but he's already shown flexibility by granting the jury selection delay. Another postponement isn't off the table, but it's risky. Drawn-out trials can frustrate juries and muddy perceptions. For Diddy, this is a fight for his legacy as much as his freedom. He's maintained his innocence, rejecting plea deals and facing the charges head-on. His demeanor in court, smiling, engaged, suggests he's banking on his charisma to sway jurors. But the allegations are brutal, and Cassie's testimony has already humanized the prosecution's case. Victim 3's absence might give him a temporary edge, but it's a double-edged sword. If she reappears with a compelling story, it could seal his fate. The trial's cultural impact can't be overstated. It's a test of whether the legal system can hold icons accountable, or if wealth and influence still shield the powerful. Cassie's bravery in testifying, pregnant and under global scrutiny, is a powerful image. But Victim 3's disappearance reminds us how fragile justice can be when key players vanish. The jury, ordinary New Yorkers thrust into this saga, will carry the weight of that question. As we wait for Wednesday's session, the focus is on Cassie's cross-examination and any news about Victim 3. Will she be found, or is she gone for good? Could her absence force a mistrial, or will prosecutors pivot to save their case? The answers are coming, and they'll shape not just Diddy's future, but the broader conversation about power and accountability. One thing's clear: this trial is far from over, and the next twist is just around the corner. But wait, what if Victim 3 isn't missing by chance? What if someone, somewhere, knows exactly where she is.